Hey, good morning, everyone. How are you all doing this gorgeous Sunday? I am delighted to have all the way from Aberdeen with me today, Nicola, who's going to be at the Goddess Gathering in Aberdeen. We're very excited about coming up and spreading the word around the country. Nicola, how are you? Thanks so much for your time and for being part of this phenomenal tour that we've been doing.
Oh, I'm just absolutely buzzing. It's going to be fantastic, and I feel really honoured to be asked as well. So,
that's nice.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
So we are going to talk. Well, I mean, I think I was talking to Lisa yesterday. So many of us now have done so many different courses. You can't just say I do Reiki, I do angel healing. I'm big into the vagus nerve, the fascia, the nervous system, because as soon as you go into one, you're automatically taken to the next. And I think that's what's brilliant now is we're understanding this is one phenomenal system we are inhabiting right now and learning so much about how to manage it. And, from the Heal Scotland perspective, I'm a big fan of teaching people how to do things on their own because
Absolutely.
they may not have time and they may not have the money to access true real health and just even incrementally improving what you're doing right now. So let's start talking about the vagus nerve, because I know you were doing some more training yesterday, but can we talk about that that course that you did? It's a few months ago now, I think.
Yeah, I think gosh, there's been so many, because I did another one and just like you say, it all just flows into each other. So the other one I did was about the 5 diaphragms in the body, which is kind of classic osteopathy. And again, that just blew my mind. And it's so interconnected with the vagus nerve because of the way the vagus nerve runs throughout the whole body. But the reason that I was so interested in the vagus nerve, because people's body pain has always been like so fascinating, because when people come in and present, you say, for example, a sore shoulder, it's generally not the shoulder that's the issue. And the biggest thing, the most phenomenal thing I've now learned with the vagus nerve is how much pain in the body is held because of the tone of the vagus nerve. And, you can YouTube, all these beautiful techniques on how to improve your vagus nerve, like humming and singing and, the diaphragmatic breathing. But because so many people have this forward head posture, the way the vagus nerve runs down, if this whole area is really tight, and then if your lymphatic system is really blocked up, then, that's going to have an impact. So it's like the chicken and the egg. Like, are you in pain because there's, impairment in the tissues, or is, it's one big loop, to be honest with you. So, personally, I've had a chronic left shoulder problem for about 20 years, and it comes and goes, and I have it treated and it stay away for a while, but it's never felt particularly strong or stable. And when I did the vagus nerve course, and again, I was working on myself as I always do, and it's disappeared. It's fixed. No more.
Fantastic.
Sorry.
Just what you were saying there, we're looking at the kind of emotional side and how we manage our emotions daily. And also if the diaphragm is almost locked, you can be doing all the diaphragmatic breathing you want, but you're not actually getting that state of expansion and ease. So there's so many things to look at, isn't there?
And, all these things, we can make the changes ourselves. And, what you were saying about, people not always having, the disposable income to go and get treatments. Like this is what I'm trying to teach all of my clients. I'm now running sort of mini workshops to teach people, because I can send them videos and things, but there's something really powerful about a group coming together and you learning together. You're there, and it depends if you're a visual learner or if, you really have to, a lot of people, because our power has been taken away. We have been told by professionals, that they know better than us, but we know, you feel your own body, so it's about taking our power back and actually being able to help ourselves. But the little mini workshops that I've been running, so I'll run through, get them to feel within their body, notice any changes, share, because that's healing within itself. And then, they maybe have the confidence to then go and set up, a 10-minute routine, depending on what they want to work on at that time. So whether it's their vagus nerve and their nervous system, or if it's their fascia, and pain that they have been experiencing, which all links in anyway. Or even if they want to give their organs some love, So, and again, by manually treating our organs, we're also then going to have an impact on the vagus nerve, especially the spleen, because the way that the vagus nerve sort of, branches off into that area. And, in Eastern medicine, the spleen represents worry. So, it's so beautifully interlinked. But yeah, I think it can be quite daunting for some people because they feel they don't have the anatomical knowledge, or they're worried they're going to hurt themselves. But we are resilient creatures,
Absolutely. I say that all the time. It's a lot harder to die than you think. It can take a long time, even when you start to really fail. Anybody that's nursed a parent will know that. I know some people get a quicker call than others, but often the body will stay alive when we're just like, how come? And I think there's so much phenomenal information. I was actually watching a video the other day about when it was about the fascia, but when you move into position, the sacred geometry of the shapes. I mean, it's all mathematical.
It's the other thing is when you start to open up your connective tissue and your fascial system, they now know that it gives off photons of light. So, your light body is then measurable. I mean, we're such incredible beings. But unfortunately, life gets in the way and we sometimes forget that.
Well, we've believed, whether it's a conspiracy theory or not, whether it was intentional or not, it's still the way. We actually think we can put this like a car into the garage to get fixed. And things can get replaced. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But we're witnessing the demise of the NHS, the stress the staff are under, the cuts they've had and the huge amount of burgeoning rates of disease, that we're going to have to take matters into our own hands. Absolutely. Because in a few years, it's completely, you're just not going to be able to rock up and get fixed. So prevention is really where it's at. And I think, certainly in allopathic medicine, rarely are they fully taken in the somatic, emotional side.
And that's huge.
Absolutely. Where the emotions and the PTSD gets trapped on a physical level, an emotional level, and how that can then be the pain in your shoulder when you've never actually.
Absolutely.
And this idea of wear and tear, or it's just your age. It's basically, I've got no idea. And I think it's okay to say, look, I don't know, but let's sort of start eliminating and looking at things and possibilities. And of course, that takes time, which in general, lots of GPs don't have. They've got this very short space of time with you.
And also, we need to remember that they're just not trained in that information, So if they don't know, then how can they advise? But, this programming that we've received, that just because you get older, and I hear it all the time, or, people will maybe sometimes say, oh, my dad had a bad back and my granddad had a bad back, or, arthritis runs in my family. And I'm like, no, that's just inflammation. Like, that can be reversed. Like, don't worry about that.
Well, exactly, because I think, the idea that you're going to do what your body's going to do what your parents' body does is outdated as well, because of course you can be predisposed, and this happened to me with type 2 diabetes, which is completely on my mother's side. But of course it doesn't mean that I might be more susceptible to it, and I have to be a bit more careful around that. But I still have full control over it. But I understand that, obviously, because all the reading and research I've been doing for decades. But a big problem, obviously, is getting people to believe that they are powerful. And also, if they're not told by an expert, then they're not going to take it on as if it's true. So I think it's, there's so many different facets to. I always say knowledge doesn't heal you; it's behaviour and action that does. But also, what's the body holding the score emotionally, holding physically, and all of that's hugely important, because I mean, most of us are not, I don't know what we're functioning at, below 50% of our capacity in terms of our energy, our motivation, our clarity, our spirit, our, joie de vivre. We've just slowly become less and less and less energetic. Yeah. And you can see it all around you. And people say, oh, I feel fine. And you're like, how do you feel when you wake up in the morning? No, you're not. You've got a whole abundance out there to absolutely unlimited resource of energy to gather in on that, we're just not being aware of. And I think people are tired. They're busy, very busy. So much to do. You come home at night, you're just like, oh my God, I don't want to learn.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I'm in a fortunate position where, I don't have responsibilities. I'm not running, to go and pick kids up from school and then take them to activities and, do all these kind of things. And even I am like, gosh, where does the time go? So it's really challenging for people. And also it creates that busy mind. So there's more distraction. So people will then have less time to think, or they actually feel quite guilty for actually taking time for themselves. And I don't know where that programs came from either, because that's crazy. But the thing about the body is every single experience that we've had, is held in the cellular memory. And I was very fortunate to receive some training by a Hawaiian healer called Harry Jim, and Hawaiian bone washing. The indigenous culture there, they believe that the cherished memories, and I like to use that term rather than anything else, is held between the tendon and the bone, and very gently you can release those tissues. And what will generally happen for people is they feel quite they feel light, they feel unburdened is the very common thing that I hear. And yes, you do need a practitioner. And it is so lovely to receive a treatment from somebody, because that exchange, because we are vibrational beings after all. But coming back to the, busy people, is if we can give somebody a 10-minute routine, that they can work on themselves and very gently start to release some of these things. Because again, we live in a society where we want everything now. And if we've had decades of different experiences and things that have been, buried deep within our tissues, it can take a wee bit of time to come out, because, we have to feel safe to be able to let it go. So, but I also believe that we won't be given anything that we can't handle, So a lot of the time when people are doing their own sort of fascial work, is they'll feel an emotion, but there might not necessarily be a memory that is attached to it. And that's what you want. You don't want to sort of go back into any of those memories, but you just need to let that energy, the energy of that go from your tissues. And then suddenly, your leg feels a bit freer, your hip feels better, suddenly you can squat again, or, you can raise your arms up above your head. So I think it's really, really important that, we start giving people these tools.
Where do you work from in Aberdeen? Are you in Aberdeen City Centre?
Yeah. I moved into a studio just off Great Western Road last year. But previous to that, I've always worked in gyms. But now I have this lovely, peaceful studio. And it means I can teach from there as well, because it's large enough.
How many people can you have there?
So when I teach, so if I'm teaching workshops, probably about 8 to 10. But if I'm teaching, because I teach kinetic chain release, an introduction to connective tissue release, and those are courses so people can then go and treat other people. I keep those classes small because there's so much information.
Yeah. So, Zach Bush, he's discovered this as well. And it's not anything new, but putting people in groups so they can support each other. Because again, if we're going to cost and time, that's a really effective way, to support each other. And collectively, we are much more powerful. Although sometimes we forget that, is if we all pull together and say, no, this is not happening anymore, we're going to have great food, we're going to take de-stress, we're going to have a nice roof over our head without people, you know, destroying the bodies to get it. That's what would happen if enough of us just say, no, we're not doing this anymore. It's so absolutely incredible that it's so simple. And I mean, they do it in the Step program as well. It's the meetings. And they do it in religious groups as well. You know, the Jehovah's, you come together every week. So that, you know, it's not a new concept. Just what are you coming together for? We're coming together to heal, because there's so much dis-ease and unease out there that we absolutely need. And there is nobody coming in a horse to save us. We, the people, have to make the changes.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward when I'm up to coming to see your space. It'd be lovely. It'd be lovely if we could do something together in the letting go aspect with the body and the mind. So let's talk about that when I'm up. So let's talk about the Aberdeen Goddess Gathering, you know, because obviously we did Glasgow and Edinburgh last year, and it was just off the scale. You know, this information comes to me and I'm like, right, okay, I don't even know it's my idea anymore. I used to think all these ideas were mine, and now you're just like, I don't know where that information's coming from, but let's look at it. It makes sense. Let's take it ahead. And it was just phenomenal. The feedback that we've had has been incredible. So I'm really excited now. I think we all are, myself, Jennifer, Julie and Kirsten, the team that are kind of solid throughout the whole tour, and then bringing you guys in, you know, to give a platform to the phenomenal work that's going on. Because a big part of what I want to do with Heal Scotland is educate people on all the other things you can do if the drugs, you don't want the drugs, or if they've not worked for you. So understanding. So let's just, before we go into the Goddess Gathering, why would people come to you? What's your kind of favourite thing to work with? Where are you getting your best results?
More recently, I would say in the last 6 months, people that are sort of, I mean, I'm very, very fortunate that word of mouth is, you know, I've been doing this for a while now, and word of mouth, I don't have to advertise or anything. People just kind of tend to find me now. But I'm guessing that a lot of people who, you know, have been in the medical system for a long time and they're not getting anywhere. And they, you know, they're kind of at the end of their tether, basically, you know. So, and when they come in, they've had a lot of medications, you know, so their bodies are really backed up. Very, you know, I don't want to use the word toxic, but, you know, this is what happens. Their lymphatic system is just, you know, the filter's gone, you know. So it's about getting the fluids moving again, getting space within the body. So a lot of chronic pain. I've had a few clients with things like Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, and that, again, that, you know, the vagus nerve is just huge when it comes to this. You know, my regular clients, sporty people, you know, they always come back, but it's more now people that understand that they're under a lot of stress. I have quite a number of people now coming to me because they've experienced trauma, and they know that it needs to be removed from their body. So yeah, but it's still quite a mixture, to be honest with you.
That's nice, isn't it? It's good to get the variety as a therapist. Yeah,
absolutely.
Nice,
but I would say more kind of chronic problems like fibromyalgia, you know, that kind of thing. Because again, when they've started maybe going to the doctor and they've been given this label, you know, nobody's maybe asked them about their stress, or, you know, looked at their lymphatic system or looked at their vagus nerve. I had one client actually come in to me the other week, and his wife had sent him, and he came in and he said, I don't even know why I'm here. My wife just sent me. I don't even know what you do. And I said, well, yeah. I kind of feel like that sometimes as well, you know. You know, and it was really quite extraordinary because he'd been receiving physio abroad, because he works abroad. He'd been receiving physio for a particular problem. But just needed some space, just some space made in the body. You know, we're so compressed.
Absolutely. I always say the truest saying in the world is the straw that breaks the camel's back. you know, and then if we start taking the straws off, and this is always the challenge, you know, I usually get people who have been diagnosed terminal or incurable, and it's like, am I doing enough?
Yeah, it's allostatic load, right? It's like too much in the bucket.
It's not, are you doing enough? Are you doing it long enough?
Yeah.
You know, it's that patience and persistence and not turning into the victim because you've not got the result in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's the challenging part for people. It's just like, no, keep going, keep going. You know, there's no way you're not making an impact in the body if you're putting tons of fresh fruit and vegetables and quality protein and fats in, and thinking and tapping and letting go and moving and whatever. It's absolutely a given, but you may have to wait for months to really, you know, but the mind is so interesting. So let's talk about the gathering in Aberdeen, and tell everyone what you're going to be doing there.
So what I'm going to do is a presentation. So a little bit of information. I don't want to overload anybody, you know, with too much, but, you know, a basic understanding of how our connective tissue, our lymphatic system, and our vagus nerve all work, and, you know, in this beautiful synchronized way. And then sort of daily practices. I'm going to run through basically how we can pump our own lymphatic system, some connective tissue releases, and then also some manual vagus nerve work that you can do on yourself. And then basically like a little routine almost that somebody can do for 10 minutes as soon as they get out of bed in the morning, so they can start their day the right way. Because what I hear most, you know, people go, oh, I get out of bed and I'm like creaky, and you know, this is because we've been stuck in a seated position most of our life. As soon as we go to school, it's like, sit still, don't move. When actually, you know, our fascia, it works in spirals within our body. So we're supposed to move, and we're supposed to stretch, and we're supposed to yawn. And if you think about a cat or a dog, the first thing they do in the morning is stretch one way, the other, and then a full body shake. And this is the thing, we don't shake. Even if we have a car accident, like a little bump, or we fall off our bike, it's like, oh my God, don't let anybody see me cry, you know. Like, you have to have that emotional response to shock. And how many shocks have we received, or how many frights have we received, you know, within our life? You know, I always tell everybody, my dog, unfortunately, literally ran into a minibus when he was 1 year old. And it was a really serious injury, and he fractured his spine, and he's still here, by the way. And for about 6 months after the accident, after he'd healed, anytime a diesel van went past him, he would freeze, but then he would have a full body shake, and then he would trot like happy as Larry again. You know, and we are made up of the same stuff, but we don't allow ourselves that time to recover. If you think, you know, falling off a ladder, or, you know, how many times we've maybe tripped over a curb or anything like that, and we, like, even just little things like that, if you hold yourself tight and don't allow your body to go through the natural physiological response to that, you're going to hold that in your tissues. So, you know, we've got decades and decades of trips, falls, frights, and trauma, you know, and we need to start being able to, you know, release that. So I'm going to go through a sort of exercise where people can sort of do, you know, a daily routine on that. And, you know, the Human Garage, they're on YouTube, and they are phenomenal movement, where they will do videos on, you know, how you can release fascia from the body. And it's funny, I did the belly button release a couple of months ago. Jesus.
I did that as well. It's actually, you've just reminded me about it. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah. Also, what the power of the belly button, there's so many different things that you can do, because obviously that area in particular, especially for women, you know, it's so much action on every level, and you know, that's where you were attached to your mother.
And everything into your spinal column, you know, and you know, as you're growing as a fetus, you know, that's where everything came in. And you've got so many lymphatic nodes around the belly button as well, you know. So actually, when you start working around that area, and it's very powerful. If somebody's experienced wound trauma, it is such a powerful area to release. You know, like,
well, so much the familial stuff is around there, around that sacral energy center, isn't it?
And then, you know, you can start getting into ancestral trauma, you know, generational trauma. Like, what I find is the more that I work on my own connective tissue and the more that I've released, sometimes now if I'm receiving a treatment, you know, it's not my stuff that's coming up, you know. So, I mean, it's a never ending vortex of amazingness.
Yeah. I can't wait for you to see the biofield viewer as well, where you can see the energy system. And I've been doing a lot of training. I've taken a lot of photographs and now really starting to understand that if you just break through the fear of like getting it right, like anything, just look at it and you can see, right, okay, that colour's quite dark. Is there something going on there? And you can really start to see. So that maybe we can do some experiments with that.
I would love that. Yeah.
And afterwards, that'd be really, really cool. Our plan, Kirsten and I, is to come from Dundee straight up to Aberdeen. So we'll be around the area for the week before.
Amazing.
So let's get together and do some chakra viewing. So fantastic. So yeah, an amazing lineup again in Aberdeen. The early bird, I don't know what's today's date. I think the early bird finishes maybe. What's the date?
Today is the 14th.
Yeah, the 14th. I think today's the last day of the early bird. So it's 99 for the whole weekend, which is just, you know, you're getting
a phenomenal price.
But such value. We really want to make it. If there's anybody watching this that really, really can't afford it but would love to come, let me know, because I'm a bit of a sucker for that stuff. So we can, I'm sure we can fit one person in. But yeah, a phenomenal, and it's a journey. It's like a retreat without accommodation. So really, you know, we've taken time to really take you into that journey. And everyone's slightly different, obviously, because there's different humans there at each one, but it's just a phenomenal gift of getting these women together. And, you know, somebody said at the last one that the word goddess gathering actually put them off, but they came because they were interested in the speakers. And I said, well, really, you know, don't let the word God puts people off.
Yeah.
That word, you know, it's women coming together that have got a phenomenal amount of experience and passion between us all, you know, in that room for the weekend. And, you know, I really didn't want it to be about, oh, try this, do a bit of yoga. There's so many brilliant yoga classes, so many brilliant cold water classes and breathing classes. You know, you can join in that pretty much in your area for free. Really wanted this to be a bit of a deeper dive for people that are really ready to feel that lightness, that freedom. And it takes courage, doesn't it? It takes courage to show up, to show up for a treatment. So I'm really, really excited to get up there and to spread the Heal Scotland message, because I've been very aware, you know, we've been very West Coast based, simply because demographically that's where I've been. So we really want to spread the network. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lillian.
And I'll give you a buzz and we'll hook up the week before the gathering. Let's see if there's a few questions here. Somebody's asking, does it work for mental health too? Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
When
you have tension in the body, you have tension in the mind. When you have tension in the mind, you have tension in your body.
All the one, the system. You're holding on in every level. Might have to wait years, unfortunately, but it's a journey, and each piece is like a jigsaw, and put it together as each piece drops into life. Yeah. Thanks, Lily and Nicola. I have to nip off, but watch those routers. Thank you from Tyree. Oh, thank you, Gordon. This software, which is phenomenal because it lets us go out over all platforms, but you can't see names. Well, sometimes you can. I don't really know why. It just says Facebook user. So, but anyway, Nicola, you can keep an eye on the event and the Wellbeing Hub, and if there's any questions, if you're living in that area and you want to see Nicola, please give her a DM and help us just by spreading the word that we're coming to a city near you. Okay, well, listen, darling, have a wonderful Sunday.
Yes, you too.
Thanks again, and thanks
Thanks.
everybody for watching, tuning in. Ciao now.
Bye.
Bye.